Hey, Rych Babes! Welcome back to the channel. I'm Dyor. Today, we're diving into a real and raw topic that's been hitting home for a lot of millennials out there, like myself. Going no contact with Gen X parents. Yeah, we're gonna talk about cutting off ties with people who raised you and why it's becoming such a thing. Let's get right into it.
If you fuck with me, go out there and be ambitious. Go out there and really get shit done and stop depending on motherfuckers.
I am the star in any room that I stand in. I am the stand.
Oh, now we gotta go?
I think so many millennials are going no contact with, the older generation, with their parents, because the older generation didn't understand the role of a parent. I think they sort of got it confused with like being a dictator or being like God, I brought you in this world, I can take it out, I can make you do whatever I want because I gave you life, and that's not love. I notice how God rules, and like in my community, at least a lot of them are Christian, and they think that, look, that's what I have a right to do. Because I gave you life, I have a right to do whatever the heck I want to do to you. That is not what a relationship is, though. And I think so many parents forget that the connection you have with your child is a relationship. And a relationship is two human beings growing together and learning together. Which means you have to give your child the chance to tell you who they are. One really great way to understand somebody is understanding their boundaries. Parents do not believe their children have a right to boundaries, especially boundaries that they don't feel they should have to respect. On the flip side, though, kids have a boundary problems with parents as well, because like they'll do small stuff like coming in the bathroom when you're using the bathroom, like shit like that. And while that may seem really, really small, what I don't think parents understand is this is a violation of each other's boundaries, okay? And while it may not look that bad when your child's a toddler and they're just walking in the bathroom, or if your child had a strong attachment to some scrabble piece of paper that you just can't throw away, that's your boundary, okay. As you get older, the boundaries change. But if you do not have a foundation of respecting each other's boundaries, it's going to be really hard to do that once you get older, which is really the problem why so many millennials are going no contact. I've told you not to do this. I've told you not to do this. I've told you to hold yourself accountable, and you continue to disrespect my boundaries. Well, I'm going to respect my boundaries, and I'm not going to talk to you anymore. But a lot of parents respect their children's boundaries based off of how it makes them feel, as opposed to how it makes the child feel when they're respected. I don't think parents understand, just like with any relationship, it's all the little things. It's all the little things that you've done over all this time. It's not the big grandiose things that you want to say, well, I did this for you and I did this for you. It's the small ways that you kept disrespecting me and kept violating a boundary. But that's not love. Love is giving your child the space to be themselves while loving and accepting them unconditionally.
So, going no contact with family is not a new concept, but lately it seems like more and more millennials are saying, you know what, that's it. I'm done, and I'm walking away from their relationships with their Gen X parents. And trust me, it's not an easy decision to make. It's not just a small disagreement or petty arguments. This is deep rooted stuff that's often about protecting mental health and breaking toxic cycles. Now, for myself, I want to be honest. I know I shared my story a few days ago, and I explained that I was raised by my aunt. I went no contact with my aunt years ago, prior to the internet speaking on this topic, and I went to therapy prior to me going no contact. I just felt it was in my best interest and in my children's interest. And yeah, and of course, I took every precaution. I tried to speak with her. I tried to work things out with her. I tried for us to come to common ground, but there was just so much trauma. It was to the point where every time I had a nightmare, the setting was always at the house that I grew up in. And I know that that's because of the trauma that I had endured. So when we talk about not having no contact with your parents, it's not like it's just happening abruptly. It's over time after years of attempts for communication, for, reconcile, for going to therapy. And when my therapist was explaining that I'm holding on to a title and not necessarily looking at that person as who they actually are and how they're treating me, that's when I realized that I needed to go no contact for my own sanity. And don't get me wrong, I do love her and I wish her the best. But now that I am a mother, I would have never done even half of the things that she has done to me and what I have experienced. I feel as though that she did the best that she could with what she knew. I just realized that you just can't change people, and that's okay too. And you can love people from a distance.
No one ever wants to talk about this. Going no contact with a parent, or hell, even going low contact with a parent, is not something that people just do. That's not an easily made decision. It never has been. Like, anytime that I make any video about my mother, I will always get a comment from somebody that's like, well, I'm sure it wasn't that bad. You should just, talk to her. And it's like, you think I didn't already do that? You think I didn't try that already? You think we hit one bump and I was like, fuck you, bitch, just forever? What y'all have to understand is I never had a father. So my mother, that was my only parental figure. For me to make the decision to cut off the only parent I ever had when I already didn't have one, literally deciding to not have anything to do with both individuals that participated in creating me. That is an insane thing to do. And that is only done when that child has lived an insane life. A parent has to fuck you up bad in order for a child to finally be like, I don't want anything to do with them anymore. We love our parents. We do not want to be away from them. We do not want to go low contact or go no contact with them. That's not what we want to do. It got to the point to where it was either that parent or our sanity. And so we chose our sanity. And I know why it is. It's because people have so much more sympathy for the parents than they ever do for the children. It's always the children are ungrateful and never the parent just fucking sucks. But oddly enough, people can all of a sudden understand the concept of a bad parent when that parent murders their child. Then they're like, oh, well, some people just don't need to be parents. Yeah, my mom was one of them. I'm just still here to tell the story. That's why you don't care yet. Because if I'm still alive, obviously it just wasn't that bad.
Now, I don't understand why some parents act so surprised when their kids go no contact, knowing damn well you treated that kid like a servant more than you treated them like a child. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some amazing parents out there. But then there's a select group of parents that traumatize their kids, that never allowed their kids to speak, never created a safe space. And to be honest, you're one of the reasons why your child deals with so many different issues like anxiety, because you stressed that kid out. That kid never was allowed to be a kid because you forced them to grow up fast. Now, a lot of parents are going to say, I was young, I tried my best, I did everything I could. That still doesn't mean that you ever had the conversation where you apologize for all the wrongs that you did to your child. If you as a grown adult, 40, 50, 60 years old, still can't self-reflect and listen to your child vent about the things that they went through, and you're just going to dismiss their feelings, that's why they don't want to talk to your ass no more. I understand this might make some of you mad, but a lot of these kids don't ask to be here. You sat up there and had that child. You sat up there and brought that child into this world. Now, if you did it in an irresponsible way and or you had a child before you was ready, are you going to put that onto the kid? Or are you going to take responsibility for your actions? At the end of the day, a lot of kids would love to love their parents and have that relationship. But a lot of adults act like fucking kids.
These are the things that I didn't expect when I went no contact with my mom. I have been no contact with my mom on and off for the past 10 years, but I would say it's been pretty consistent for the last 5 or 6 years. When I say no contact, I mean no contact. I don't have her phone number. I don't have her address. She met my son, but only once when he was 2 years old, and now he's about to be 7 years old this year. And she's never met my daughter, and she has not met my fiance. And the one thing that I did not expect when I went no contact with her was the amount of people in my life that would meet me for the very first time, find out that I'm no contact with my mom, and then ask me to mend the relationship. Or they would just automatically assume that that was my first course of action and I did nothing to try to make the relationship between me and my mom work before I cut her off. And what I need for people to realize is that is the result of trying to make the relationship work. The no contact is the end of something. It's not the beginning of something. Typically, adult children that have gone no contact with their parents, that wasn't their first plan of action. They tried for probably many years to make the relationship with their mom or dad work. I know for me personally, there were years where my mom didn't take accountability. It wasn't just one conversation. True healing between two people cannot happen if only one person is acknowledging the trauma. And then even once the trauma is acknowledged, there needs to be a change in behavior. And it drives me absolutely insane when people just think, oh, you took the easy way out by just cutting her off. That was not the easy part. That was a very difficult decision. And it's a decision that I personally do not regret because I know everything that took place and I know that I'd made the best decision for myself. And as a result of not having contact with me, she also does not have contact with my children. And I've said this in a video before, but children, no matter what the age, do not owe their parents anything. And that includes contact with their grandchildren. Parenting is a one-way street. It always has been that way. It is a job that you do not get thanked for because your children did not ask to be here. You did not have to have them. I also didn't expect the fallout that would happen with other family members because of my decision to cut off my mom. There are family members that don't talk to me, mostly siblings, just because of the fact that I won't have a relationship with our mom. And that's okay too, because although we have the same mother, I do realize we had a different experience with her based on the amount of time that we spent around her. I'm just saying, if you meet a person and find out that they're no contact with their parents, please respect their decision. And keep in mind that it is always the parent's responsibility to mend that relationship. It's never the child's responsibility, no matter how old they are.
For a lot of millennials, such as myself, there has been an awakening around mental health, therapy, and healing. We're realizing that some of the behaviors and the ways of thinking that we grew up with just isn't actually healthy. Things like emotional neglect, dismissing feelings, or using tough love as a way to prepare you for real life. All that can create some serious damage over time. So when millennials get to a point where they're tired of being gaslit or emotionally drained, the decision to go no contact is often about self-preservation. Social media has really brought these conversations to the forefront. We're seeing more content about setting boundaries, identifying narcissistic traits, and cutting off toxic relationships, even if that means it's coming from your own family. Millennials are a part of therapy culture where talking to a professional is normalized. Therapy really helps people recognize the patterns of toxicity, and sometimes the healthiest thing to do is to just walk away, even if it's from a parent or a guardian. But let's not act like this is an easy choice. Going no contact with a parent comes with a lot of guilt and judgment. There's a societal expectation that says, well, they raised you, you owe them respect no matter what. But respect has to be a two-way street. It's not just about the age or the title, but how you treat the person. And when your parent or guardian can't respect your boundaries or even acknowledge your pain, sometimes the only way to protect your peace is to just walk away. Now, some people go no contact, hoping that the time apart will make the parent realize they need to change. But other times, people go no contact, accepting that reconciliation will never happen. And that's okay too. Not every story ends in healing together. Sometimes the healing happens alone.
Oh, you're depressed. You're depressed. I'm sorry, do you not have food to eat? Do you not have clothes on your back? Do you not have a warm bed upstairs to sleep in? Is the life that your father and I work so hard to provide for you not good enough? Go depress some dishes, get out of my face.
I told my wife she's 5 years old. She's not gonna notice if I'm not at her stupid dance recital. She's 6 years old. She's not gonna notice if I'm not at her stupid dance recital. She's 7 years old. She's not gonna notice if I'm not at her stupid dance recital.
Oh, I hurt your feelings? Well, nobody cares about your feelings in the real world, so you better get used to it. Get up. You want me to be nicer to you. You don't like the way I talk to you. Do you like living in my house? All right, then, I think I'm nice enough. Oh, you want to
talk back? You want to talk back? Say goodbye to your door. Yeah, no. Privacy in this house is a privilege, not a right. Oh, look, honey. She thinks the world revolves around her. She's in for a rude awakening. You're not as special as you seem to think you are. Stop crying. The world is a tough place. Better you learn from me than somebody out there, because at least I love you. You act like I'm this terrible father, but have you ever thought that maybe you're not so easy to love? Now get dressed or we're going to be late for church.
Watch a video together and then chat about it.
When I feel like I was a good mom and did everything I can to show my kids I loved them and be there for them. And why does this generation of kids just turn their back on their parents? Like, I would never treat my parents the way some of the things have been said to me from my kids. And I don't understand it. And it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. My friends, patients that I see at work, you know, story after story after story after, you know, my daughter doesn't talk to me, my son doesn't talk to me, like, just so much entitlement these days. And it's just so flippin' heartbreaking. Like, it was so much easier when the kids were little. Like, I just didn't think that my life would be where it's at 50. I love my kids, but why is it this hard? Why, where's the respect at for parents and appreciation for all they've done for you your entire life? Like, I don't get it.
The concept of no contact has been going around a lot lately, and so I want to answer this question genuinely as a therapist who sees a lot of clients who have got no contact. I think one of the largest things to recognize as a parent of an adult child is generational differences. So for starters, people who are in their 50s, 60s plus who have adult children grew up in a generation where it was very common for children to be seen, not heard, and respect equated to just acquiescing to whatever your parents kind of wanted. Respect often meant you didn't have boundaries, whereas mental health now is and continues to be a large conversation. Relationships with family members are one of the only relationships in which people are encouraged to make amends with people who have been abusive towards them, who have manipulated them, who consistently cross their boundaries, etc. And as a therapist, what I often hear in these situations is that from the child's perspective, there's been multiple attempts to repair the relationship, to explain the behaviors that are hurtful and harmful, yet the behaviors continue. Or there just isn't the safety or the space to have that discussion in the first place. Another thing is that in terms of gratitude for the parent taking care of them or just, you know, creating them, I think that is often seen to be synonymous with I will have a relationship with you forever. Someone can be grateful for their life, for their parents, for the efforts that have been made, but also decide that a relationship is not for them. And that isn't to take away from the fact that I imagine that it's very hurtful for parents. And at the same time, what also exists is that it's hurtful typically for the child to go no contact as well. But while it's typically hurtful for the child to make that decision, it's also often safer from their perspective to make that decision. I think it's important to come to these conversations with the sense that you are not entitled to a relationship with your child just because you birthed them. It is something that you have to earn and continuously work at. And that goes both ways.
Your mother. Recently, I was out to lunch with an old friend of mine who has been watching my TikToks and seeing my Facebook, and she said, you know, Diva, you are such a great parent, and it must be so great to have this great relationship with all your children. Lots of greats in there. Story time. That's not true, baby. And let me tell you what I told her. Yes, I have this great relationship with two of my sons. My youngest daughter, my sunshine, is always around. That's who I'm usually talking about in these videos. But I have an oldest son who has chosen to go no contact with me and most of the family. Here's where I differ from a lot of people. I honor his space. I don't try to make up some type of story about how I did the best I could, even though I did. How, you know, he should have been grateful for the life that I worked hard to give him. But see, I'm a recovering alcoholic. And I wasn't recovering when he was in his early teens. I'm not going to feed my ego by saying, you know, I'm your mother. I did the best I could. I was dealing with a lot. Whether or not that's true, I honor his truth. I really do. I love my son. I miss him. However, I won't be changing my number anytime soon, and the code to the front door that he has will never change. He can always get into any home that I live in. But I'm not going to sit here in front of my other kids or in front of you guys and say, oh, he's gone no contact. I don't understand. I understand completely. And I'm quite happy that I raised a grown-ass man who can stand up for his feelings. I send him messages that I hope he's getting some therapy because I was his mother and I know he probably needs it. But other than that, I honor his space. I think sometimes that's the difference between Gen X parents and our boomer generation. Because, yeah, I'm your mom. I messed you up. I'm sorry. We parent each of our children differently. That's just the truth of it. So one day maybe he'll come back around and we won't be estranged. In the meantime, I just love on the kids that are here and pray to the universe that things will change. Y'all have a good day.
So, Rych Babes, if you are in this situation, you are not alone. Find your community, whether it's a support group, online forums, or a close friend who understands. Take breaks from social media if it's overwhelming and give yourself grace. It's okay to grieve the relationship you wish you had. Healing isn't linear. It's a process. Rych Babes, I just want you to know that your peace is worth fighting for. Family isn't just about blood. It's about respect, love, and healthy boundaries. If you had to go no contact to protect your well-being, don't let anyone make you feel bad for it. You owe it to yourself to choose you. Let's keep this conversation going in the comments. Have you been no contact with your parents? How did you cope? How are you coping if you're going through it right now? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more real talks like this. Until next time, take care of yourself, Rych Babes. Stay rich.